picked me. Don't you get it? I'm the easiest target. It's D-list comedian Kathy Griffin. He picked me.
Wrong. Didn't you, out of the blue, decide to pose with a bloody decapitated head in the likeness of President Trump and post it on the internet for everyone to see? You fired the first shot and people all across America fired right back at you. Immediately after the photograph went live, you were met with a barrage of outrage from both sides of the political spectrum as well as people close to you. So you lawyer up and hold a press conference. Your attorney then had this to say about your reaction.
Like many edgy works of artistic expression, the photo could be interpreted different ways, and Kathy was fine with that. But Kathy never imagined that it could be misinterpreted as a threat of violence against Trump.
Oh, really? Let's see if that's true.
Come on. Right? Yeah. We're going to we have to move to Mexico today. Because we're going to go to prison. Federal prison. Yeah. Call your dad, apologize. But let's, me and Daryl, just go to Mexico today. Because we're not surviving this, okay?
Counselor Bloom, your client made light of the coming shitstorm on camera and laughed about how much trouble she was about to get herself into. She received the exact response that she knew and hoped for, and when she couldn't take the heat from the backlash...
And as soon as she learned that this is how it was being received, she was horrified, and she took down the picture, and she asked the photographer to take it down, and as fast as possible, she videoed a heartfelt apology, literally begging us for forgiveness. That should have been the end of it.
Wrong again. You don't get to blindly take a swipe at somebody and piss off a lot of people without expecting a response. You see, not only is Trump our president, he's a human being. Normal, sane people don't get to do something as inappropriate as this to another human being without consequences. This attorney must have been absent from sociology class on the day they went over social norms and tribal roles.
Kathy has a First Amendment right to make whatever provocative art she chooses. Whether or not you get or like her artistic expression, in America, Kathy has the right to publicly parody the president.
No one is arguing the rights of Kathy to say what she wants. The argument is that Kathy doesn't have the right to expect others to remain silent in response to what she says and does in the public spotlight. Part of art, and in the context of what Kathy did, I use the term art loosely, is the expectation of feedback from those viewing it. My understanding is that those that put art out there for people to see is that they do want to see how others respond to it. If you don't want that feedback, don't put it out there. She also doesn't have the right to dictate how others react to her alleged art.
Trump does not realistically fear 56-year-old, 110-pound Kathy Griffin.
I'm sure he doesn't either, but as you are now allegedly receiving many death threats because of what you did, the reality is that there are a lot of crazy people out there in the world to be afraid of. I'm sure there are a few crazy people out there that saw your image and were like, yeah, we should behead the president. He should be put to death. But I'm sure that you're not the least bit concerned about that, are you? Then, to keep going with the playing of the victim card and refusal to accept consequences, you then make this stupid comment.
Ted Nugent threatened to kill President Obama.
And he was investigated by the Secret Service. The Secret Service found that no threat was ever made and the case was dropped. Ted Nugent also took his lumps rather than lawyer up and fake cry on national television during a half-assed press conference like Kathy. Kathy isn't in the trouble that she's in right now because of Ted Nugent. How about concentrating on the current issue rather than playing the, well, he did such and such game?
Criticize the president, lose your job. And that's what happened to Kathy. And more.
And here we go with more playing of the victim card. Come on, counselor, let's call it what it really is. Do something so vile that a majority of the nation's citizens are so outraged about and pay the consequences. She didn't criticize the president. Where in that image in question does it depict anything along the lines of, gee, I don't agree with his policies, or I don't like how he's perceived to treat women? The president didn't cost Kathy her jobs and cushy sponsorships. She did by her own actions, and the two of you standing up in front of that podium, shifting blame and attacking the president is only making it worse. I don't think Kathy knows how things work in the real world when it comes to work. So let me break it down for her. Most employers have a set of rules in place that if an employee's actions bring a negative light to their business, they have a right to terminate you. Your sponsors and the venues that have canceled your shows don't want their names associated with you and what you did, and have that right to terminate business with you. The ridiculousness of the press conference intensified when Attorney Bloom broke the number one rule of her job: never ask a question that you're not prepared to answer. Kathy, at one point in the press conference, Attorney Bloom opened the floor for questions from the press. The first reporter questioned you about something said on December 6, 2016. You said, "It's not about trying to be an equal opportunity offender anymore because Hillary got such a beatdown. It's his turn, so I'm happy to deliver a beatdown to Donald Trump, and also to Barron. You know, a lot of comics are going to go hard for Donald. My edge is that I'll go hard for Barron. I'm going to get in ahead of the game." Kathy, as he asked you this question, you confirmed that you had indeed made that statement. Your attorney, who had no clue what he was referring to and was obviously oblivious to this taking place, interrupted the reporter and tried to claim that you had said this years ago in a stand-up routine, when we all know you said it just 7 months ago. She then tried to justify what you said with this crazy nonsense.
We can have edgy comics in America. Comics can say things that are not appropriate for children. Comics can create images that are not appropriate for children. Many things on the news are not appropriate for children. I'm a parent of 2 adult children and a teenage foster son. It is my job as a parent to filter out what is appropriate for my children. It is not the job of a comic to filter everything down to the level of an 11-year-old. She gets to make the comedy and the art that she wants to make, and the parents decide what's appropriate for children.
Here we have Attorney Bloom commenting on something that she has no idea what she's talking about. You admitted to saying it, and rather than let you explain yourself, Attorney Bloom injected her own spin and tried to accomplish I don't know what with that senseless response. So it's okay to say that you're going to target an 11-year-old boy just because you have an axe to grind with his father. Come on now. This press conference is going so far off the tracks that I'm sure that those who watched it have no clue what you were even trying to accomplish by holding it.
What's happening to me has never happened ever in the history of this great country, which is that a sitting president of the United States and his grown children and the First Lady are I feel personally, trying to ruin my life forever.
Kathy, that may be how you feel it to be happening. That's your perception, and your perception is your reality. But I'm sure there are many people throughout history that feel that the president was out to get them. There is this thing on the internet called Google, and I'm sure you could use that tool to find the many instances of people feeling that such and such president is out to get them. You haven't been on the minds of many people for quite a while, including the president, and I'm sure he didn't just wake up one day and decide he was going to go after a D-list celebrity and ruin her life for shits and giggles.
I'm going to make fun of the president, and you know what? I'm going to make fun of him more now. More.
Great, that's your right. But how many times are you going to get burned by the fire before understanding that all of the pain that you are going through is self-inflicted? Go ahead. You have the God-given right to make a complete ass out of yourself in front of an entire nation. Keep doing what you're doing, but don't expect people to feel sorry for you when you get smacked down. You and your photographer friend poked a bear. Correction, not one bear, but millions of bears. Now you're getting your ass handed to you, and you decide to hold a press conference and fake cry on national television about how unfairly you're being treated. You claim to be sorry for your mistake and how horrible this whole ordeal has been. Then you say this: I'm going to continue to make fun of the president. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. In closing, Kathy Griffin, you have the opportunity to learn something from your mistake and grow as a person and an artist. But you choose to blame old white men trying to keep you down rather than accept the fact that you pissed off a lot of people. It makes me sad that you are so far removed from reality that you can't understand the backlash that you're getting. We all make mistakes and have to face the consequences of those mistakes. Just because you're kind of a celebrity, that doesn't make you exempt. If anything, your being a public figure gives you more of a responsibility to be more conscious and responsible with your actions. I hope that someday you learn from this.